The future is uncertain, AI is taking over, and we're not sure who to trust. It's time for a rebellion. It's time for change. It's time for Born Punk. Hey guys, and welcome to YakWaxLips. My name is Michael, your point-and-click adventurer, and today we're deciphering the point-and-click adventure game Born Punk. But before we defrag, I create purely adventure game content, so if you love to point and click, be sure to do so over the like, hit subscribe for more, and turn on the bell so you don't miss any of my adventure game videos. Born Punk comes from developer Insert Disc 22, which, if you get that reference, tells you more about the game than I can here. I need to state beforehand that, I'm in this game. I naively put a tweet out asking if anyone had a voice acting gig I could try, and Falco, the lead developer, replied offering me a few roles, so thank you very much. Care to guess who I voice? That being said, I am giving you my straight, unbiased opinion on the game. As a debut game, Born Punk is ambitious from the start. We're in the future, 2155 to be precise, where androids are common, yet political unrest is on every corner. In this cyberpunk point and click, androids live hand in hand with humans, carving out their own neighborhoods.
You don't have a Type H andro power cell on you, do you?
To understand the plot, we need to understand the time and place we inhabit. The hierarchy of power runs dirty, with corruption rife in the city of Bornholm, a small island off the coast of Denmark, and starting off the game we play as Evie, a vigilante on the hunt for equality. She also carries some awesome Wolverine type claws and a voice in her head. More on that later. As she heads off on another mission, she finds herself face to face with a pirate cat. A pirate cat. It kinda sounds like it's full on slapstick, but it plays it straight all the way, and it's the better for it. We move on pretty quickly though, as soon we're introduced to our second playable character, Mariposa. She's the head honcho of the Mitsutomo company, and just like Evie, she has a voice in her head. Only this one seems more demanding and controlling, to the point that it ends up governing her body completely.
If you don't hold yourself back in the future, host, I will have to suppress you more aggressively. I need to find a way to restore some of my database and find out who you are. You will regret this. I will not cooperate.
Once the voice in Mariposa's head has completed its task, we find ourselves moving to our third playable character, the android DJ Grandmaster Flash. He's a street-talking, hip, or not, kinda guy on the hunt for new music and looking to get a new battery for himself before it's curtains.
Oh yeah, come here, you sweet little flying mama. Grandmaster FLASHDRIVE's gonna make you whole again.
From this point on, the plot gets super heavy and complicated, and it's certainly a game you need to keep your mind on and not play in bits and pieces over several weeks. The world building that goes into Born Punk is huge, and it does pay off. Every scrap of info, whether it's important or not, can be viewed by pressing L and bringing up lore of the game, from politics and religion to history. I spent a good while reading all about Bornholm once I'd finished the game, as there is so much to know. A lot isn't even needed to get through the game, but it does add a layer of depth to it. You play as the three playable characters in turn, unable to choose who you are at any point. There are moments where you are alone, and also moments where you work together, either in a 2 or 3. The personalities of the trio vastly differ as well, with Mariposa often being the safe and stern one, Evie being risky, and Grandmaster Flash seeming to just be there for comic effect. But this works in the game's favour, as it never gets too heavy or too light.
Don't look, y'all.
Whatever, Flash.
Damn, haters. Booyah chaka.
It's a dialogue heavy game, very heavy in some points, with lines and lines of conversations to keep track of. The plot lines get tangled several times over, and by the very end I pretty much knew what was going on, but there were still a few loose ends. Each character has their own problems, and there's also the overarching storyline that does leave it open for possibly a sequel. It's a classic point and click as you hover over items to pick up and look at, with an inventory hidden away at the bottom of the screen. The puzzles are created well, but there were one or two that left me bemused, specifically one where you have to match music beats and instruments. There's also a heck of a lot to do in the game, and a notebook or list to consult would have been handy. Bornholm has been built using pixels, and they are some of the best pixel art I've seen in a game. When it rains, you really feel the cold and wind, and when you're stuck in an underground hideout, the room feels cramped. There are many locations throughout, and each place feels like it's been lived in for many years. The voices of the main characters are to a high standard, although I did start to tire of Grandmaster Flash's high-pitched street talk. Alongside the three protagonists, there are a plethora of unusual beings, all voiced very well, especially this guy.
Who are you?
Name's Kydrax. I'm leasing this carriage from the Chaos Circuits. You know, selling this and that. Stuff that rains down from the hovercars over us.
Pardon me?
He means stolen stuff.
Oh.
I prefer procured outside of the mainstream channels.
Honestly, I didn't notice the music that much. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just kind of there. It is such a huge game and undertaking that sometimes I got lost in the plot, not really understanding the purposes of some of my actions. At times I would have liked to ask the same questions as I didn't quite understand it, but the dialogue option would disappear, leaving me to amble along hoping to pick up the thread again later. The ending was satisfying, but I did see it coming a mile off. There are points throughout where you can take slightly different choices, but I'm not entirely sure if it changes the ending if you do. Bornpunk is a huge undertaking, and if you can concentrate and stay on the plot, it pays off. There were one or two difficult puzzles which stopped me in my tracks, and the ending, although works fine, did leave me a little unfulfilled after the 12 or so hours I put in. But it's certainly a game that I would recommend, and I give it a 7 out of 10. Thank you to Insert Disc 22 for the review copy, and the characters to voice of course. And thank you to you for watching my review of Bornpunk. You can help me on my mission to get more adventure games out to people by joining my Patreon, and check out more of my videos here. Until next time, have a wonderful morning, afternoon or evening, whatever it is you're doing right now, and take care.